Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Satyam Raha, and in this video I'll be talking about how to compare strings in Java. Let's check it out. Let's say I have a string called S, okay, and a string R maybe. Okay, let's first see how it works. Check a new page. Uh okay, I think we're fine. So there are two ways. One is using the boolean, which is a boolean method. A boolean equals, here you should give a string s. Okay, so this is one method which can be used, and the second one is double equals operator. Okay, so how it works is, when you write equals, it will check whether a string is having the same content with the another string. Say for example, I have two strings. Okay, one is say Shottam and another is also Shottam. Now, since they are two different objects, so if I check it with equals method, what will happen is, since they are containing the same values, both the objects are containing the same value Shottam, so it will return true. Okay. On the other hand, say the second object has Shottam Raha, it will return false. Okay. On the other hand, say for example, say for example, I have Shottam here and I'm using the double equals operator. What will happen? It will return false. Why? Because both the objects are same. That is, the references are same. Okay, say this is S, this is R. So S is pointing to a object, R is pointing to another object. So the references are different. So double equal to checks for the references. If the references are different, it will return false, no matter what they are containing. On the other hand, if say S is pointing to Shottam and R is also pointing to Shottam, then double equals to would return true, because the same reference is being pointed to by both S and R. Okay, so equals method will be useful when you want to check whether the values inside the object are same or not. Okay, that case you will be using the equals method, and you will use the double operator only in case when you want to make sure that S and R, whether they are pointing to the same reference or not, same object or not. If that is the case which you want, then you can use the double equals operator. On most of the cases, the equals method will be useful, and it is always recommended to use equals if you want to check the contents of two string. Okay, if you say want to check whether the two strings are equal or not, you should always check using equals, because in all the cases it will be returning true if they are actually equal, no matter the strings are in different objects, or maybe the strings is in the same object. Okay, it doesn't matter, it will return true as long as the values in the string are same. Okay, no matter whether they are different objects or not. So what do we mean by these things? Let's do it practically. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, let's say there is a string s. Let's first create a string using the string literal, right? We have already learned the how to create a string using string literal and new method, new operator, right? We already know that. If you have not checked out that video, please go and check that. So I'll just make sure or assume that you have already watched that video. So s equals to Shottam and r equals to, say, okay, let's say Raha. Now, if I want to check whether they are equal or not, what I can do, I can maybe use double equal to first. So let's see what it returns. It returns false. Fine, is correct. Let's say I want s dot equals, sorry, equals r. Let's say what it returns. It returns false. Obviously, both of them will return false, right? Because the contents of the string are different. Also, the references are different. Now say I want to make it Shottam. Now see, if I execute this code, what happens? Both are returning true. Why? This is fine, right? Equals R is fine because you already know that the strings, if the values of the string, if the contents of the string are same, then equals method will return true. So since both are Shottam, so it is returning true. This is very correct. But what about S equal to R? Why is it returning the same? It is returning true. Although the references are different, S and R are different, right? Then why is it returning true? The reason is we have created these strings S and R using the string literal method, right? The first method, which we have talked about in the last video. So when you create a string using the string literal method, what happens is it is created for the first time in the constant pool if it is not found, and on all the subsequent times when you use that same string, it will point to the same object in the constant pool, isn't it? So S and R is pointing to the same constant pool entry which contains Shottam object. That is why the references are also same. S and R are pointing to the same object. That's why it is returning true. Now let's change it a bit. Let's create a string using the new keyword. Okay, let's say let's create R with the new keyword. New string Shottam. Okay, now what should happen? What do you guess? Because I said in the last video, when you create a string using the new string, what happens? It is actually created first in the constant pool. If it is not found, then it is copied to a new object which is outside the constant pool but inside the heap memory. So obviously the both of them has the same contents, but their references should be different, isn't it? So is double equals to R should return false. Let's see. Yes, it has happened like that. Okay, S double equals to R is actually returning false, but S dot equals of R is actually returning true because the contents are same. That is why equals is returning true. But since the references are different now, so S double equals R is returning false. Now say, I want to create the first string also using the new keyword. Okay, now what will happen? What will happen? Again, see, for the first time, Shottam JVM will search for this in the constant pool. Now when it will not found it, what it will do? It will create an entry in the for this I'm saying for this. When it first encounters this line, what it will do is it will search for Shottam in the constant pool. It will not find it. So what it will do? It will first create an entry, create an object in the constant pool with the name Shottam, right? Now it will create a new string object outside the constant pool and inside the heap memory. There it will copy the contents of that string literal to that new object, and it will return that reference to S. So a new object, completely new object outside the constant pool but inside the heap memory is created when you execute this line, string S equal to new string Shottam. When you execute the next line, so string R equals to new string Shottam, again the same thing will happen, but this time Shottam will not be created in the constant pool again because it will already be found, right, in the constant pool. So what will happen in this time? It will create a new object outside the constant pool again, but inside the heap memory, and it will copy the content Shottam from the constant pool. So two different objects S and R will be created inside the heap memory but outside the constant pool. So both the references will be different. So if I execute this code, what happens? False and true. Because the references are different, so S equal to R will return false. On the other hand, since the contents are same, so S dot equals will return true. Let's say I want to have Satyam Raha here. So obviously both will return false. Just to make sure that the contents are same, different here. So S dot equals will also return false. So just I want to say that whenever you actually want to check whether the two strings are equal or not, then I recommend you to use the equals method. Use the double equals to operator only in case when you are very sure that you want to check whether the references to the strings are different or same. If that is the case, then only use double equals to. Otherwise, do not use double equals. Okay, if the strings are string objects are different, then although the contents of the string are same, it will return false if you use the double equals. So maybe you are not intending to do that, right? So do not forget this. Only in case you want to check the references are different or not, you use the double equals to operator, and in all other cases use the equals method, which will be completely fine for most of the uses. Okay, so I hope you understood. Thank you. See you in the next video.